And thanks for welcome to Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob. I am with my co-host, as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good, Rob. Did we catch you off guard?
I caught myself off guard because I was looking at a button over here that I pressed to make sure that it was red, and what do you know? It was red. But then I forgot because I didn't see the numbers roll on our little screen here. It was it just messed me up. It's okay.
Just took a minute.
I like when we do things like that though. It shows that the show is real and we don't over edit.
Right?
Because I've listened to some shows and I think they do. But I will be nice and say that I have done it several times with us where I kind of clicked out things, but 9 times out of 10, if you're listening to this show, you're hearing literally the show. All I do is take out background noise. I don't edit us because I think it's more fun to be us. To
be imperfect.
Yeah. And just say shit off the cuff because I think it's way more fun when you do that. So we are recording on Halloween.
Yay.
And you said, hey, let's do a show on Halloween. And I was like, what are we going to talk about Halloween? And then we started throwing shit back at each other. And I thought, hey, that's a great idea. But before we get this rolling, make sure that you subscribe and go to all our stuff, our Instas and our Facebooks. And if you're listening to this on Apple, subscribe, follow, whatever it is, all those fun things. Because we don't mention those enough and we need people to keep sharing it.
Yes.
So Halloween. Let's talk Halloween. I thought you kind of hit the nail on the head before we started here and say like what it meant to us or means to us. I think growing up, it meant a lot to me. I mean, obviously a lot less now. I still enjoy the giving out the candy part, even though I'm leaving that up to the kid right now. But I think when we were kids, it was so much fun because we grew up in a different era. I think the late 70s and 80s, being out and about it was just more fun. And I mean, all we really had to worry about was razor blades and apples.
I remember we used to take a grip of kids with us and a bunch of parents, and we ran around like maniacs and went from house to house, and it took us probably 2.5 hours to do because we didn't want to stop. We had a shitload of candy when we were done, but mostly we were all together. There was a big group of kids, like 14 or 15 kids every time we went.
Yeah, those were, and I remember going around our neighborhood with a pillowcase.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We didn't have like a little jack-o'-lantern, man. We had we were going to get a grip of shit and and we're making out like bandits. I mean, I remember taking home like half of a pillowcase to 3/4 of a pillowcase.
Wow,
you're right. It was hours. And we would walk. I remember getting home and I'm talking about more of my teenage years probably, or my early teens when you were just gallivanting around the neighborhood. As a little kid, I did have a jack-o'-lantern, but I think that, we would poop out after an hour.
A couple blocks.
Yeah, a couple blocks. And I'd be like, this sucks. And I'd have like that really bad plastic costume with a mask with a rubber band on it. I have tons of pictures. I mean, obviously I grew up in the late 70s. And I have pictures of me like Darth Vader. And I had just like this. And those costumes were like literally plastic. Like we were burning alive.
Like a vinyl. Like
a vinyl. Yeah.
Throwaway tablecloth.
Yeah. And we would just burn up inside of them. Like you'd take it off and it would just like, you'd be sweating profusely. And
you were probably overly dressed anyway because your parents didn't want you to get cold or get sick, so you always had like sweats underneath and your pajamas maybe underneath that.
Yep.
That way they could just take it off and put you in bed.
The mask just had a little line to breathe out of. It was like the most unsafe costume in the world, but a lot of fun, and I think that having kids let me live through him again, and my girls as well. But they were like teenagers when he was born. Once he was about 5, man, it was fun. And it's funny because I dressed him up. He had really long hair for a while. And I have a picture of him somewhere. I'll have to show it to you. He was Captain Hook. And he had this cool foam sword, and he had a hook hand, and it was like a red velvet with a big, huge hat in it. He looked like a pirate because he had long hair. And
he looked like Captain Hook.
He looked like Captain Hook. And I think I even drew a little mustache on him, a little curly Q mustache.
Yeah.
And I think living through him, being a small kid and going, okay, come on, let's go up to the door. And, he has a huge personality. Then he kind of lost interest. Around 8 or 9, he could care less about Halloween.
Oh, wow. What happened?
I don't know. I just think because he just kind of went, whatever. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to force it on you to walk around the neighborhood if you don't want to do it.
Right.
And then, let's see, when we moved to Camarillo, I think he was in like 5th grade, probably 5th or 6th grade. Then the kids around the neighborhood started getting him geared up. And then he would like get cheesy costumes. Like one time we went and got him a Chewbacca like jammies, Chewbacca pajamas. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to go out in this. And he just ran around the neighborhood in Chewbacca pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and he did that. And then, because where we lived, the neighborhood above us in Camarillo was like insanely rich. And I mean, like $4 million homes, like crazy money. They gave out full-size candy bars.
Nice.
They ravaged that neighborhood. They came home that night. Him and his friends were like, and they were like probably 13. I was like, I would never just go gallivanting around. And man, they just raised hell. He brought home tons of candy. And I was like, what? They didn't like say anything? He goes, nah, they're fine. I was like, all right. And I even told him, I go, at some point, dude, you can't go to the door anymore. Like you got to stop. Like it's all right to kick back. But I think we grew up in a better, and I don't mean better as in safer, because I don't think it wasn't any safer when we were kids. I think it was about the same. But I think we grew up in that being able to like go to school and dress up, because I see now today you can't really do that.
Gosh, we were forced to dress up. I remember being in high school in student council, and I had to dress up. It was mandatory. It was part of our grade.
Wow, that's
and
funny.
I was 10th, 11th, 12th grade doing that.
I think I probably dressed up. I don't remember in high school if I did.
I don't remember you dressing up.
I don't think so. I know I did junior high for sure but I think in high school, I don't think I did. Because I think, again, we were we were already, a little bit older and I didn't want to do that at school. Although we had a lot of people who did. There's still a lot of people who dressed up.
Oh, yeah. There was contests because I ran them. Being in student council, I was the one that ran the costume contest and the DJ on the quad and all of that jazz. I was part of setting all that up.
DJs on the quad were great.
Mm-hmm.
And in Halloween, I mean, we definitely had growing up in the late 80s, I think we had, how can I say this without being horribly bad? I'm trying to say it so it doesn't sound. We had a lot of slutty costumes.
Yeah.
So
I think you hung around the girls that wore the slutty costumes. That's why you see it as a lot. Yeah, in most of our realm, there wasn't that many, but
there was a lot around a lot of the people that I hung out. Mm-hmm. So, but I also think that we also grew up in an era where, mini skirts existed. And that was okay. No one said anything. There was girls in my junior high that wore high heels to school. Mm-hmm. So it's we grew up totally in definitely a different era, way before that that mid 90s where girls started wearing like super duper baggy pants and tennis shoes and wearing their hats backwards.
Yeah.
The Limp Bizkit era.
Yeah. I remember one year wearing a costume that my mom made, and it was made of that faux fur, and it was from head to toe, and I wanted to die. It must have been a hot Halloween, but I could not get comfortable at school. I could not get comfortable going out with my friends. That thing was so effing hot. I could not believe it. Well, I mean, I think that was the last year I dressed.
And you got to think that like we in the Valley had a couple of like pretty warm Halloweens where, I think to like right now, people are probably trick or treating outside where I live. It's 67 degrees.
Yeah, it's 71 here.
Yeah, not horribly warm, but not really not that cold either.
No.
So I think it's it makes for interesting Halloweens. When I lived in Vegas, I know I sent Odin to school one year, and it had to be 89 in Vegas.
Wow.
That Halloween. It was blistering hot. And poor kid went and he had like a Boba Fett. He had a helmet and everything. And he was just like, and he came home and he was just like, oh. I was like, yeah, sorry, dude. And I was like, do you want to go out tonight? And he's like, when the sun goes down. I'm like, all right.
Right.
And I think even that night it was like 69 or something like that. It was like absurdly hot for a Halloween.
It's crazy.
And you really don't, and you really don't think of that because, like, I think people, as you go east, their Halloweens are cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it interesting. California Halloweens compared to probably New York Halloweens are a whole other thing.
Yeah. What's funny is we used to have over 100 kids come every year to my parents' house to get candy, and there hasn't been one in the last several years. It's kind of weird how either the neighborhoods changed or they're doing that trunk or treating and they're not going to people's houses anymore. But that's kind of weird too, because there was so many kids when we were growing up outside and running up and down the street. And
the few years before COVID, in Camarillo, me and my roomie would sit outside, and I would probably say maybe 30 kids, maybe 30. And I lived there 8 years. I would say in the beginning, when I first moved there, we had a decent amount, and then it kind of thinned, and then it stayed at about 30 the last 2 years. And obviously after when COVID hit, it kind of shit the bed and everything went sideways. So
we used to have, when I was with my ex, we used to have a bunch of kids, and I used to sit outside with the neighbors next door to us. And then 2 doors down, we all sat in the same yard and had a beer and talked and hung out together. And we used to get easily 100 kids. The last time that I went and did that, there wasn't even 22. Wow. It was really kind of interesting because we used to have so many. And then my ex would stay at home and pass out candy too. So we always had enough for the 2 of us. But this year I had some leftover candy from when we did Bunko, and I took that over to him. I said, I'm sure this is going to be enough. And it was a big bag of candy, but it was just one bag where we used to buy about 3 of them.
So what do you think's changing?
People are afraid to let their kids roam without adult supervision, which is something that we did on Halloween. I think part of it is everybody's food allergies. Like, parents do different things with their kids because they can't have like normal candy bars or whatever. They got to worry about what their kid's eating. I also think it's a sign of the times. It's just, it's not the safest place anymore. I don't know that it's any worse or any better than it used to be, but the parents worry more. They need to have a little more control and a little more, They just have to be more aware, I guess, and stay with their kids a lot longer than our parents did with us. Because we used to also be able to run up and down the street all day and from morning till night, but we had to be home at certain times to check in. And then once the street lights went on, we had to go home. Otherwise, our parents really didn't know where we were. They had an idea. We were only allowed to go in a certain area. But at any given time, they didn't know exactly what we were doing or where we were. But we were always together. There was always a big group of kids together.
Yeah, which I'm sure probably helped the situation. You know, when you have a rowdy group of young children gallivanting around the neighborhood.
I didn't say we were rowdy.
Yeah. You're probably much less likely to have the pedophile of the neighborhood sneak up on the 15 kids that would beat him to death. So I'm sure that's part of it. I wonder if it's a California thing. You know, I'd have to ask some of my friends from out of state. Maybe I'll find out over the next week before we record the next show to see, because I'd like to ask and kind of see what the difference is across the country. Because obviously, and I'll ask the kid here to see if he gets anyone here, because I'm assuming 8:30 would be the cutoff here, maybe 8:30, maybe 9:00. So, but I think that I'm going to go out on a limb and say in some states, mostly in like maybe smaller towns where it's a little less dense and a little less violent on the standards of the rest of the United States, that Halloween could still be pretty big. Halloween parties, though. Now let's talk adults.
Love those parties.
And I think that that's still a pretty big thing, because I saw a lot of like Instagram photos and Facebook photos of people that were at parties. Obviously, you know, the 2-year struggle of not being able to see human beings probably curved that a little bit, and mostly with the loss of friends from both sides. I wonder how many people got invited to parties now. But I definitely saw that over the weekend, that, you know, with Halloween falling on a Monday, that you're a little less likely to go out to the party on that day. But the weekend, I saw a lot, more than I anticipated.
Yeah. I had a Halloween party to go to from my job, and I didn't go because I hadn't been feeling good. I had ran a fever for a couple days and was really, really sick. So there was no way I was going around a bunch of people, especially ones that I work with. So I stayed home from that. But then I went to a Blue October concert yesterday. So I had to drive home today. So this is me getting home about an hour ago and setting up for the podcast, because I was driving back from La Jolla, and then I had to finish picking up my stuff from where I was house sitting, because the night before house sitting was when they came home, and then there was the funeral, and then the day after that I got sick, and then the concert. So I hadn't even been able to pick up all my things. I hadn't even had a telephone charger of my own since last week. So
wow.
Yeah, there was no parties for me this week, but the concert was amazing.
I think that the adult side of things is obviously us still trying to, I mean, and I hate to say hold on to anything, because I don't think that's it. I just think that most people love a reason to party.
Absolutely. And get together and have fun, and it not be, I'm tired of seeing everybody for funerals. You know, I'm like, let's have some good reasons to get together.
Yeah. And I think that you're right. There hasn't been enough of that for quite a long time. And I think now that people are
fed up,
a little
lonely,
less, or just a little less scared, I guess. The COVID bug isn't, you know, keeping people from doing anything. That we're definitely getting around that bend. So you're right. I think I think this year, I think this year's New Year's Eve will be a humdinger.
That would be nice because I would really have a good time at a New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, I think that's... I'm going to go out on a limb and say that there's going to be more people doing things this year.
Yes.
I think so. I mean, I got invited for Thanksgiving. Speaking of holidays, Rick invited me down, and I haven't seen him and I haven't seen him in years.
So you're going, yeah?
Yeah, because he was a COVID nut.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't see anybody or anything. So he's like, "Hey, come down," and I'm like, "Oh yeah. I think that's a great idea." I go, "But I have to bring my dog because I can't leave him here all day." He's like, "Yeah, bring him down." Blah blah blah. So I think people are open to the ideas, and I think that you'll probably see more Christmas as well. You'll probably see some more people at Christmas gathering. So maybe Halloween, this is going to be the break. Like this is the break in the tide of opening up people, because who doesn't like to dress up? I think that's the other thing. Well, I mean, we all, if you loved it as a child, most people love making these crazy costumes if you're into that part or just playing the part. Mm-hmm. I saw a friend of mine, she posted her work pictures, and everyone did the same theme in her department. And the whole theme was the Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
So they had a Tin Man. They had all of them. And she played the Wicked Witch. And I think that that's the kind of cool thing. Like where I work, it's a little hard only because we lift boxes and you would get dirty. Mm-hmm. It's not like I can sit or, even though I do sit all day and work at a computer, I have to do things. So having a costume can sometimes be a little in the way. But I think I like to see that people are at least getting back to whatever we think normal is.
I think we just need to get back to being together. You know, that went so long without anybody getting together that we all just craved it so much. Mm-hmm. And now that we can, we definitely should. There, you know, what I'm seeing this year is that, okay, you're giving your life back, do something with it because you may not have a long one. Mm-hmm. So for
dress
me,
up and go out.
Yeah, that's how I've always been, though. I'm like, if somebody calls and says, "Hey, I got this going on," and I'm free, and I say, "Yeah, that's where I'm going to be." And so when my friend asked me to go to the concert, I was like, "Hell yeah. When are we coming back?" Like I had to make sure I didn't already make plans, but I didn't. And then, you know, she was like, "I'm so glad you came. We never take trips together." And just got a call, you know, because I'm not going to say no anymore. Life is not going to go down like that. Which
I think is really funny because, you know, we talked earlier about you, like, we're going to have to do something about recording next week's show. And you're like, "I have a concert to go to." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Who are you going to go see?" And you're like, "Nah, I don't know."
I didn't. If you asked me right now, I'd have to look again.
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool because I mean, I think you're right. You're living, and part of, I think, the Halloween thing in general is for one day in this crazy world we live in, you get to be someone else. Mm-hmm. And
I've always liked Halloween, though. Even when all the kids were little, I would dress everybody up and do their makeup and do their hair. And I was always part of the costume, you know, getting it together. Because parents get out of work late and the kids need to be fed. So I always had the kids with me. And it was, you know, get their costume on, make sure their hair is done, make sure they're dressed warm, make sure they're fed, and then, okay, now run them around the neighborhood. But I've always liked that because with Christmas, for a woman, especially a mother and a wife, you have to think about what you're going to buy everybody. You have to go searching for it. You have to buy it. You have to wrap it. You have to get it to where it needs to be. You have to do all the cooking, all the baking, all the crap that I just don't want to do. So for me, Halloween is like, just let's get the kids together. Let's buy a crap load of candy and just let them go ape shit. I love that.
I like the kind of dark side of it. I always loved horror movies and
who doesn't like a monster? So, come on.
Those are the fun things. I mean, monster movies were always fun.
It's fun.
It's funny too, because like, speaking of horror stuff, when my kid was young, he wasn't ever scared of like monsters or any of that shit. I showed him movies early in his life. Like, I showed him Underworld with all the vampires and the werewolves, but I showed him the behind the scenes before we watched it on DVD. And he was like, oh, these are just people in costumes. Yes, that's all they are. So it's funny. He's grown up to be like really into like horror movies, which is like really funny. Cause he kind of liked them, but he never really said anything about it. And like, over the last couple of years, he's like, oh man, we got to see this movie and this movie and this horror movie. And for me growing up, we came out of the Halloween and the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
So we kind of got and I hate to say classics, but I think of our generation, those are the classic movies, because we didn't really, our parents came out of the Dracula and Frankenstein and, those type of movies coming out of the 30s into their, 40s and 50s. Those were as horror movie as you got was, maybe something a little scarier. We got like slasher movies. We got
for sure.
We got the first, blood and gore ones. And it's funny because I watched Halloween not too long ago, and I realized like there's really not a ton of blood in that movie. But it's scary as all shit because, I think we all look into the distance. And I love the one where she's upstairs and she looks down and he's standing in the laundry. And then she looks back and he's gone. Because we all think like that weird, like, did I see something? And you walk the neighborhoods, or at least when I lived in the valley, like there were several really good, like set up houses that not quite haunted houses, but man, the front yards that some of these people do on Halloween are, impressive.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Like full on, like 6-foot monsters and a trail that you have to go up to their house, that you have to walk through a curtain that has smoke in it. And I was like, and when we were, when my kid was younger, like there was a couple that we walked up to that even he was like, yeah, I'm not going up there. And I was like, no. Well, I'll go up there with you. And we would go through it and he'd be like, oh, it wasn't that bad. I was like, no, but I could see, and people put lots of time into Halloween.
Absolutely.
I have several friends that do huge things. It's like their favorite time of the year. So, it's interesting to see how it's changed so much from when we were young to what it is now. There's a small tear in my eye. Like I don't know how we get back to the 100 kids a night, because we
I
have
don't think we will.
We have to. It's important. Like it's such a fun evening. And I think that because there's such a wide age of kids that go out, like, I guess someone knocked on the door here, like it was still daylight, small kid. And, so there is that nice, that first couple of hours that are obviously smaller kids. And then you're graduating into those, 8, 9, 10, 11, where, it's just fun. And like, they're okay with getting a little spooked out or like walk really hesitant up. I think that we need to get back to that. And I don't know how we do, but society, I think, has to find a way to open Halloween back up to where it's full bore. Like,
we don't even see kids the way we used to see kids. Like, we talked about, there was a group of 20 of us just up and down the street at any given time. I can't tell you the last time I saw 20 kids together. Maybe like 4 or 5 teenagers together, but not like a huge group of kids with all their bikes, all their skateboards, all their roller skates. Like we all did that every day. You don't see that at all. I don't think we've seen that in a long time.
It's the online thing. I just think that everyone communicates through a computer or a phone, that they don't see. And that's what I'm saying. I think it maybe outside big cities, because people still want to go gallivanting around the neighborhood and scaring people and that kind of thing. And I think maybe it's in smaller towns or, outside of the cities. But
I'm sure in smaller towns it's better than it is here, for sure.
Yeah, and it's sad. I mean, I would hate to see someone sitting at home playing video games instead of going out with their friends, having a good time. I mean, I wonder how it's changing in schools though, when it comes to how the people are changing. Because I mean, I don't know. I haven't been to a football game in forever and ever. When my boy went to high school, they had a good draw, even during the, that was a couple of years ago.
Seems like they do here.
Fans. So that's good. So people are still getting out and at least trying to be functionally in society and still, having something to do. Maybe
I don't know if it's people, but it's definitely the younger people. Like for the high school next to where I live, it's packed like it always was.
That's good. Because I thought that might change with how everything's just people. I've seen people in restaurants where they were sitting across from each other on phones and like not talking. So, because to me that football game was meant to be social. And I think that's what Halloween always was. Halloween was a social event. It was, hey, let's all gather up. We all got silly costumes on. And again, and I remember growing up, not too far from where you lived, we would go out with my best friend's younger sister just as the muscle. And like, because, people would bag snatch or whatever. And like, we couldn't wait to just whoop someone's ass. Like, we that's all we lived for. That we're like, cool, first guy that steals a bag, we're gonna go beat his ass. So I think that it's still a possible thing, but I think it has to be taught through the parents of today, and maybe they've lost it. I think that's the other thing. If you're not passing down these things to your kid, they're not going to be into it. You have to present it to be something. It's no different than, hey, let's go to, we're going to grandma's house on Christmas. I don't want to go.
No, like, you're going.
You're going. Like this, no, that wasn't a, hey, do you want to go do this? And I think with Halloween, it's, you have to be part. If you dress up, your kid will probably dress up and go, okay, cool, we're going to go get some candy, and you make it a fun event. And of course, obviously, if there's more kids in the neighborhood, you gather up and go. But I don't know. I think that it's, obviously with the dark side, and I know that there's some people who just can't, who think Halloween's just this evil thing. I never thought that, and still don't.
Every party has a pooper.
Yeah, look, the backgrounds of Halloween, if you look deep down into them, it's not what people are putting it out there as. And I get it. Like, even if you're not into it, it's I don't know. It's part of American culture. Like, we've made Halloween such a fun time. And, and I don't watch regular television very often, so I can't tell you if how it's pushed anymore. Cause like, I remember growing up, man, and we would see, commercials for costume places, like Party City. There'd be a Party City commercial for all the costumes you could go get, to keep you coming back to do it.
And you could even rent them. I love that rental place. They had some great costumes.
And the funny thing is like, have you been to the market? Because we went last Sunday to do some shopping, and they had a pretty large selection of candy. So like, and it was, I wouldn't say empty, but it definitely wasn't full. So it looked like people had at least bought candy to give away. So
they had a reason to sit there and eat a big ass bag of candy, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. I had a couple before I started this. So I think, oh, is that me? Do you hear the fire engines? Yeah, it must be my house.
Could be me too.
But yeah, I just think that it kind of gave me hope. And even my kid was like, "Oh, let's give out candy this year." Cool. All right, we're good. I wonder how my dog's doing, because he won't run out the door, but he likes to run to the door.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how he's doing. I even said, I go, look, if you have to put him in his carrier for the time being, I understand. Or you flip flop. So I don't know. I think that Halloween's a special time. I hope that we get back to some kind of social event and making it fun for kids and teaching them to dress up. I saw my granddaughter over in Texas, because my daughter posted a bunch of stuff, and they had a good old time. Everyone in the house was made up, and like they make all kinds of spooky stuff, and they hang it in the neighborhood, and they had a skull with some chain on it, and they spray painted it the night before, like I think Saturday night or Sunday, getting ready. So, I mean, obviously, it still exists, and she's in San Antonio. So, I think maybe it is something that's going to be continued to be pushed. At least I hope so. I'm just hoping we turn the corner, and maybe people are starting to see that we need a little more old school to come back. And
I'm not seeing that for the trick-or-treating. That's going to be more events, church events, different things where they do it in the back of their cars. I think we're going to see more of that.
That's going to be the new thing.
It's been.
No, I know, but you think it's going to be like the standard? Like everyone's just going to go to
people don't really want to, they want to stick to their own little group. They don't reach out. Nobody reaches out to their neighbors to begin with, unless they've lived in the neighborhood for a very long time. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm glad I don't have kids to have to worry about.
Right.
I've definitely worried for enough in the years previous. So
yeah,
I'm kind of just liking the fact that I didn't have to do anything. It's like one of those holidays that I don't feel like I'm dragging ass the whole month, because I had to take care of everything that needed to be done. Halloween's kind of a cool thing.
I get that. It's a pretty short time span. I mean, you can literally go get candy the same day and pass it out.
Yeah. And they already have Christmas shit out. So
yeah, they start tearing it down. They tear it down that like 2 days or 1 day before, they move the Halloween to another section just to get rid of the candy, and off you go. Because Thanksgiving's not really Thanksgiving's food. So, all the turkeys will be everywhere, but everything is now motivated to Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
and Christmas is so different now too.
Yeah. I mean, to a degree, I think that the holidays they're morphing because of the last 2 years. But like I said, I think that you're going to see, I think this year is the first year that you'll have a full Thanksgiving. You'll have a full Christmas dinner and get together, and you're going to have New Year's Eve parties where people are going to want to party for a change.
Looking forward to New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I think going into 23, people are looking for normalcy and getting back to hanging with your friends and being neighborly and that kind of thing. I think we're going to see a change. At least that's what I'm thinking. I think we're going to see a big change this year, that people want to do things.
Yeah. I know a lot more people are asking me to go and do different events with them, from birthday parties to weddings to Even concerts. I went to the concert last night, going to another one on Monday. You know, it's gonna be go until Christmas. I'm sure of it.
Oh yeah, I went to two concerts back to back.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago, and they were both sold out. And I mean, I went and saw Bring Me the Horizon at the Forum. I'm guessing because they set up the Forum different now, there was probably 11,000 people there. And then the next night I went and saw Slipknot, and it was sold out. It was like, I think that place holds 14,500, and it was packed to the bone.
Nice.
So people are wanting entertainment and wanting to get out and be normal again. So, which is great for me because I'm going to another concert in December, and then I'm going to a musical the next night.
Nice.
And I'm stuffy like that. I'm going to go see
You're
a metal band.
Back-to-backing it again.
I'm going to see a metal band on a Wednesday and a musical on a Thursday.
I'm going this weekend. I'm going to Morro Bay, and I'm going to go deep sea fishing again.
I love Morro Bay.
And then go check out the town and stay out there for the weekend. Go Friday to Sunday.
Downtown Morro Bay is the coolest little town.
Isn't it?
It's such a cool town.
Yeah.
If I could afford to live there and not have to do a lot of work, I would definitely live in Morro Bay. It's a timeless little town. I don't know if any of our listeners are in Middle California. I would say it's more, I think it's like 3.5 hours, 4 hours, about 3.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, it's about that.
Probably, about 4 hours from you, probably. But it's a cool little sleepy town. It's very cool. There's their downtown is like two blocks.
Yeah,
that's all
the whole thing. Yeah. I'm excited. I even want to go and see Elephant Rock, where they have all the elephant. Are they elephant seals? Elephant seals.
I think so.
Yeah. This time of year is just going to be the males out there. There won't be any females with the babies until spring, but I don't even care. I just don't want to be at my house. You know, we've been here enough. I want to get out. It's funny because I was house sitting last weekend, came back, funeral was the next day. Then I got sick. Then I had one day to kind of clean up and stuff. And then the next day I was off to the concert. So now I'm back. And I'm like, shit, I have 4 more days and I'm packing for something else. I've still got stuff everywhere. It looks like my suitcases have blown up. So tomorrow I have to get my room clean just to be able to walk and find my things. And then I'll be doing it again. So I'm not complaining. I love being able to get out and go and see everybody. And I'm enjoying it. I really am.
That's good. I think that's a positive thing. And look, you're getting back to whatever normal is for you. Normal
Which
for me
is not normal because nothing about my life is normal since COVID.
No, but I mean, how we view normal. Like to me, I've never changed since any of this nonsense. Yeah. Normal has always been normal to me. So I kind of refuse to go the other way. I just look, you have to live like you're dying, or if you don't, the guy at my work, he just lost his father over the weekend.
Oh.
To cancer. Go figure.
Fuck, cancer.
Yeah. So he came into work today. I don't know how. But
probably needed to get away.
Yes and no. I think I told him he should have stayed at home, but he said kind of the same thing. He was like, why? So I could just sit around and think about it. And I was like, well, I mean, I understand. But yeah, live. And I think part of that is holidays again. Halloween, start dressing up again. Start taking your kids out. Go back to having fun. Then come Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. Let's change things this year. For all the people out here listening, do things. Go and have fun and see your family and make sure they know that it's important.
Absolutely.
Anything you'd like to say, Miss? Because we're at
I hope everybody has a good Halloween, and we'll get ready for the next holiday and go. The end of this year is just gonna blow through.
Oh, it's gonna fly by.
it's gonna be quick. So yeah. So just enjoy it. Enjoy anything that's going on. Try to find the happy in everything.
That is correct.
So important.
And yeah.
I think that was my house.
That was you. Wow. Rum. There's a car outside.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and sometimes Twitter, and probably more now that you can say anything you want on Twitter. And then you can check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and several others. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and share with your friends. We have tons. We have some new Canadas today. We got Ottawa. Someone in Ottawa. Yeah. And like Toronto area again. So
didn't you also say the Philippines?
We got the Philippines. Yeah.
The heck? Hi, Philippines.
Little island. Yeah. Hello, Philippines. Keep listening.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Come back every Wednesday. Tina, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
And
happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you. I'm going to go see about snatching a piece of candy out of a big bowl and go check on my boy and his girl.
Nice. I'm going to go get some dinner.
Oh, I know I didn't eat either. I need to eat too. All right, guys. We'll see you in a week. See you later. Bye.
Bye.